Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts. This is Gordon Freeman, the Free Man, leading you from the darkness into the light through the crypto revolution. So, very important times going on around here. If you are watching, please stick around. You're going to want to see this, hear this, believe this. It is happening. So, could end up being a non-story, but it doesn't take long for non-stories to make a $40 million, $50 million change in the market just on Binance alone. Bitfinex respond to New York Attorney General's actions. We're going to come back to this one because I'm going to read the story that is circulating. And one of the things that I want you to notice is special thanks to our contributors. All the links to these articles are included in the video. So I want you to notice that this is Bloomberg. This is the Wall Street Journal. This is Yahoo Finance and Yahoo Finance. They got it in two different places. So this is stuff reaching mainstream, which means that this is what people are going to know about crypto right now. Which means, what does that do to mass adoption? Your guess is as good as mine. I would say any news is good news for those that have never heard of this stuff before. They're going to ask questions to people that they think are into crypto stuff. But it is not good news towards mass adoption, because I wouldn't throw my money into this when words like fraud are being thrown around. So, especially if I don't understand a lot of this stuff and somebody has to explain it to me. So, luckily, we're here to help explain it to you. Oh, yeah. So, New York attorney. Thank you, New York City, being so difficult for the health and wealth of altcoins everywhere to begin with. Yes, let's just insist upon regulating the world and see how that goes. Everybody loves us so much more now. New York Attorney General sues Bitfinex and Tether to unearth fraud being carried out by the firms. Now, two things to understand. This is a wire release breaking news event. This is, mainstream stuff that people will read that don't normally read crypto stuff. Second of all, when this happens, usually when you have stuff that goes out over the wire, it's like a PR newswire type thing. You spend money to get it out there, and then you're paid for your article to be circulated and syndicated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is very mainstream, but it also means that the news is going to be fairly consistent and hit a lot of the mainstream at the same time in the same way with the same information. And it'll circulate over and over and over through Google a million times over. Then people like me will start streaming it on YouTube, and it just goes gangbusters. So this is not going to be just a, boom, it's done by 7 a.m. kind of thing. It's going to continue throughout the day on Friday for sure. So New York State Attorney General is suing Bitfinex, the cryptocurrency exchange, and affiliated firm Tether. Oh, yeah, I was going to tell you a second thing. I don't want to interrupt myself. The second thing to understand here is that they're suing for information. They're suing for forcing somebody to respond, to provide documentation, to provide information. End of 2017, same thing was going on with Tether. People saying that it wasn't actually backed in dollars. And there was this huge stability coin concern because there weren't really many competitors. It was either fiat or Tether. And they showed that it was backed by dollars. They showed that, every Tether is actually backed by a dollar, blah, 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 blah. Well, people continued to shill the story just to bring Bitcoin down, go back in on alts over and over and over again. I got really tired of it. People to this day still hate Tether, like they think they hate Coinbase, like they think that they hate XRP. It's just a little bit nuts. And if you want to talk about the thing that's hurting mass adoption more than anything, it is a strict, insane kind of loyalty towards things that you know nothing about. Okay, I am not defending Tether, and I am not I'm a gangbuster Tether guy. If they prove that they've done something wrong, my hope is that people will directly move their 98 cents, 99 cents, $1 over to another stable coin and just eat the tiny, itsy bitsy little fees. If you trust PAX, then go with PAX. If you trust USDS, USDT, TUSD, USDC, PAX, is there anything else? Whatever, an actual dollar, an actual euro, whatever. You don't really have to risk losing anything if you want to move it over. It's an electronic transition. They don't, unless they want to go deeper into fraud, they really don't have to worry about the issuance of stuff. Now, Bitfinex is another thing, and I would be all for people moving off of Bitfinex into Binance because it's a better trading platform, and Binance is ready for you. So come on, come join us trading over here on a real exchange. All right, those are the two things. The New York State Attorney General is suing Bitfinex, the cryptocurrency exchange, and affiliated firm Tether, the company behind the stablecoin of the same name. The 23-page document, interesting, so you could actually look at the document. So click that if you will. Dated April 24th, and by the way, make sure that sound is good and I'm on the right thing. Dated April 24th, states that the New York Attorney General's office had reason to believe several New York and U.S.-based traders transact on the firm's platform. Okay. In 2018, Bitfinex said it would no longer offer trading to such clients. It said that OAG has an investigation underway to expose ongoing fraud being carried out by Bitfinex and Tether, requesting all documentation tied to Bitfinex users in the state of New York. Okay, so first of all, this is about the state of New York. This stuff has been bad for about a week, 2 weeks maybe, state of New York stuff going on. Details from the suit paint a picture of Bitfinex and Tether engaged in undisclosed, conflicted transactions to cover Bitfinex's losses. Bitfinex's losses, mind you, by transferring money out of Tether reserve funds. According to the Attorney General's office, at least $700 million was drained from Tether's reserves. The lawsuit also claims Bitfinex partnered with Panama-based... Okay, so you understand that's one thing right there. Number two, partnered with Panama-based payment processor Crypto Capital to handle customer withdrawals after struggling to find a reputable bank to work with. Despite the significant amount of money at stake, Bitfinex did not sign a contract or formal agreement with Crypto Capital. According to the lawsuit, Bitfinex also commingled client funds with Crypto Capital, meaning the firm mixed funds held on behalf of client with its own clients, maybe, with its own capital. According to documents provided by OAG by respondents, by 2018, Bitfinex had placed over $1 billion of commingled customer and corporate funds with capital, the suit notes, with Crypto Capital. As explained to OAG attorneys by Respondents Counsel, Bitfinex and Tether have also used a number of other third-party payment processors to handle client withdrawal requests, including various companies owned by Bitfinex and Tether executives as well as other friends of Bitfinex. OAG believes that Bitfinex required the service of third-party payment processors like Crypto Capital because, at the time, Bitfinex had no reliable bank that could or would work with it. Okay, this sounds extreme. The part that sounds very suspect to me is on the side of the New York Attorney Generals, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. In October 2018, Bitfinex began to struggle with client withdrawal requests. Per the New York State Attorney General, this was due to the loss or theft of $800 million in funds by Crypto Capital. To date, Bitfinex has not publicly disclosed the loss of funds. Okay, so that could be an issue, especially that is the case. The thing is, yeah, I have issues with the exchange. I do not have issues with Tether. And my issues with the exchange go deeper than the context of this. So the cryptocurrency market turned red on Thursday evening as word spread that New York Attorney General James had filed suit against one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges, Bitfinex, and its affiliated entity, the stablecoin Tether. Don't really think that this is going to go very far. Oh, what a looming look you are giving us. According to the lawsuit, Bitfinex commingled client funds with its own, while also using up to $700 million in Tether reserves to cover losses related to its relationship with payment processing firm Crypto Capital. So we'll see if it's able to bounce back from that. That'll be very interesting. Hopefully these things don't happen with other exchanges and this becomes that cautionary tale. Bitfinex used Tether reserves to mask missing $850 million, probe says. New York Attorney General alleges cryptocurrency exchange operator drained Popular Coins reserves to conceal missing funds. A cryptocurrency exchange that claims real dollars backed its popular digital coin and proved it. Actually, I'll add that in there. Tether raided those reserves to cover up $850 million were missing, the New York Attorney General's office said Thursday. To read the full story, subscribe or sign in. Yeah, I'm not. Wall Street Journal, do what you wish. Bitfinex operator accused by New York of $850 million cover-up. New York's top cop says operators of one of the world's biggest cryptocurrency exchanges and virtual coin Tether engaged in a cover-up after losing about $850 million of client and corporate funds. Bitcoin tumbled on the news. I don't know if I would call it tumbled. It's been doing this without your help. The accusations announced Thursday against Bitfinex, which runs the Bitfinex trading platform and the issuer behind Tether, speak to one of the most hotly debated questions in the crypto world. Is every Tether really backed by $1 US? The ultimate answer will have big implications for the market because virtual currency traders use Tether as a substitute for dollars. They've already been through this and they already proved that they do, and then they show that they prove that they back it in assets equaling $1 US for every Tether. It does not have to be a dollar, it just has to be worth a dollar. Bitcoin tumbled about 7.2%. I thought it was 10%. It's not 10%. To 5102, which is still $100 more than its breaking point of resistance at 5,000. Adding little commentaries in here. In New York, its biggest drop in 3 weeks, according to data compiled with Bloomberg by Bloomberg. Tether, which is supposed to match the dollar, was at what a dollar does, according to CoinMarketCap. Bitfinex, unable to find a bank that would work with it, entrusted more than $1 billion in commingled client and corporate deposits last year to a Panamanian firm, Crypto Capital Corp, according to the civil case brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James, a Democrat who took office in January. Bitfinex was allegedly using that firm as an intermediary to wire dollars to traders. Despite the sheer amount of money it handed over, Bitfinex never signed a contract or other agreement with Crypto Capital. The Attorney General wrote to the court. And I mean, I don't know how these things are normally done, do you? I don't know. It would be interesting. By mid to late 2018, executives at Bitfinex and Tether suspected Crypto Capital had lost, stolen, or absconded with the money. Okay, so why isn't the suit against them? Because Panama. And they haven't been able to find or recover roughly $850 million, she said. None of that has been disclosed to investors. What are the investor relationships with Bitfinex? I don't know what kind of investors they do have. Are they calling traders investors? In which case, it's not really the kind of thing you tell traders when they still have what they had in their account to begin with. Judges ordered Justice Deborah James in Manhattan issued an order barring Bitfinex and Tether from any further violations of state law while the case proceeds. They must also retain all documents tied to the probe, court records show. Kasper Rasmussen, a spokesman for Bitfinex, didn't respond to a message seeking comment. There was also no response to messages left with a Bitfinex email address for the media and an outside public relations agency. After $850 million loss, executives Bitfinex and Tether cooked up a series of conflicted corporate transactions in which Bitfinex gave itself access to up to $900 million of Tether's cash reserves, which Tether repeatedly told investors fully backed its coin 1-to-1, the Attorney General said in a statement. It definitely brings Tether's credibility into question, Director of Research, blah, blah, blah. It's been well known that they have struggled to maintain banking relationships, but this is the first I have heard about them losing access to funds. Banks' reluctance. Major banks have been unwilling or at least reluctant to offer financial services to many cryptocurrency ventures because the market's opacity makes it difficult to police the flow of funds and detect money laundering as by laws in the U.S. and elsewhere. While it has Tether attracted as a stand-in for the dollar, it's also been a headache for operating its related platform, Bitfinex. Bitfinex and Tether's banking problems began in 2017 when they lost relationships with Taiwanese banks as well as a link to the U.S. through Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, which does not allow you to do anything right. I've had them lose my own money in my account, and they'll just take it. It's at least Panama's, whatever. Okay, which acted as a U.S. correspondent bank for the Asian lenders. For people to buy into cryptocurrencies, their dollars, euros, and yen must make it into the system somehow. In an article last year, Bloomberg described how crypto capital entered the equation. Through its president, a Canadian in Panama City named Ivan Manuel Molina Lee, Crypto Capital used links to banks in Poland and Portugal. Crypto Capital and Lee offered no comment at the time, and there was no immediate response to a message sent to a representative for them on Thursday. Neither are named as defendants in New York's case. Alleged cover-up. To prop up Bitfinex after the loss, the executives transferred $625 million out of Tether's legitimate bank account. Okay, there's the tricky part, because they proved the legitimacy of the bank account. In November 2018, the case alleges, without naming that bank, in return, Bitfinex credited $625 million to Tether's account with Crypto Capital. Isn't it interesting? November 2018 is when the hard fork was happening with Bitcoin Cash. Yep. the halving of Bitcoin. That credit was illusory, the Attorney General wrote, because Bitfinex knew that crypto capital is refusing or unable to process withdrawals or return funds. In effect, executives fraudulently shifted most or all of the Bitfinex's risk of loss of several $100 million onto Tether's balance sheet, but continued to represent to the market that Tethers were fully backed by US dollars sitting safely in a bank account. They were not. Now, if they represented that in 2017 that it was the bank account, then they weren't officially having to represent it at a later time until they were asked to do so again. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting. In 2015, New York created a BIT license, a special permit that applies to virtual currency exchanges that has sometimes drawn criticism from crypto ventures for being too burdensome. Yeah, leave New York if you're doing crypto. Get out of there. It's stupid. New York State has led the way in requiring virtual currency businesses to operate according to the law. I'm above the law, James said in her statement. James said in her statement Thursday. Thursday is when she said it Thursday. We will continue to stand up for investors and seek justice on their behalf when misled or cheated by any of these companies. So somebody is very bearish against crypto is what I hear. So interesting. Let's see what this is. This will be the interesting of the thing for this stuff. Bitfinex respond to New York Attorney General's actions. Earlier today, the New York Attorney General's office released an order it obtained without notice or a hearing in an attempt to compel Bitfinex and Tether to provide certain documents and seeking certain injunctive relief. The New York Attorney General's court filings were written in bad faith and are riddled with false assertions, including as to a purported $850 million loss at crypto capital. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. People have been representing their Bitfinex's response as lackluster, not being all that big. They have just now said that the court filing from the New York Attorney General is a false assertion. I mean, they're saying that it's a lie in bad faith, that there was an $850 million loss. So what that means is Bitfinex is saying they did not have a loss. Okay, number one. On the contrary, we have been informed that these crypto capital amounts are not lost, but have been in fact seized and safeguarded. We are and have been actively working to exercise our rights and remedies and get those funds released. Sadly, the New York Attorney General's office seems to be intent on undermining those efforts to the detriment of our customers. Okay? Fights on, buddy. Bitfinex and Tether have been fully cooperative with the New York Attorney General's office, as both companies are with all regulators. The New York Attorney General's office should focus its efforts on trying to aid and support our recovery efforts. Both Bitfinex and Tether are financially strong, full stop, and both Bitfinex and Tether are committed to fighting this gross overreach by the New York Attorney General's office against companies that are good corporate citizens and strong supporters of law enforcement. Bitfinex and Tether will vigorously challenge this and any and all other actions by the New York Attorney General's office. You know what? That just makes me want to open up a Bitfinex account. So people are withdrawing their money from Bitfinex as we speak. And honestly, I just think that people are too willing to pop in on a knee jerk. So if they're liars and their pants are on fires. But if it's true, then vigorously fight it, buddy. Fight the good fight. So mass adoption comes from liquidity. Liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange. We choose Binance. You should too. Come join us now. This is the news from Archangel Alts. I am Gordon Freeman, the free man, leading you from the cryptocurrency revolution, from the darkness into the light, through the crypto revolution. Mass adoption. Come join us now. Learn how to trade. Do it right. For now, Archangel Alts out.